weeks ago, they visited all the schools and donated $16,000, split among all 4 of our schools. This is a partnership between Radius Church and our local administrators, our guidance counselors, and our teachers, and it's part of their Give Hope campaign. And so when a family's in crisis, a student's in crisis, it gives our principals and guidance counselors some flexibility to be able to reach out and help the needs of those families. So it's just a really blessing that they continue to do this. And I just want to thank Pastor Ryan Maloney and Youth Minister John Forty. Actually, John was here yesterday, signed up to be a substitute. So we're looking forward to seeing him on a regular basis as well. So thank you for their generosity. Charlotte Clark was honored this past week by our local VFW. If you remember, Tristan Padgett won an award for VFW National Citizenship Educator Teacher Award in January, and so they returned to honor Ms. Clark in the middle school for the work that they're doing promoting citizenship at our school. The elementary school have been celebrating Character Education Week or month, and so in the month of January they celebrated the character trait of honesty, and in February they celebrated the character trait of perseverance. And they have honored so far 49 students, 23 in January and 26 in February. February marked African American History Month, and at the middle school they celebrate on the 25th with a special program to honor, remember, and pay tribute to the African Americans through history and the contributions. This event is recorded if you would like to go back and watch. It was a great event. I want to recognize Sonia Bryant and Eric Roberts. They, at SCASA, our South Carolina Association of School Administrators, presented a program highlighting the things that go on at our high school. The title of their presentation was how secondary MTSS, how MTSS can work at the high school level. And they presented to a standing room only crowd of about 70 administrators throughout the state. And this, again, just highlighting the program at halftime and actually meeting the needs of students on an individual basis. So again, I just want to congratulate them for their work, and others coming to steal their ideas and take back to implement in their schools. And I confess that in my previous district, we tried to steal some of the same ideas, so it's been going around for a while. We are working to replace the roof at the existing gym, and some of that preliminary work has begun, and pretty soon you'll see some roofing materials laid down out there. We want to get that completed before they start doing the groundwork and foundation work for the new gym, so they're not competing for the same space to be able to lay the materials down. That can get kind of congested. I'd like to congratulate Will Balknight. Will yesterday signed a full golf scholarship to attend USC Sumter in the fall. We're really proud of him, and I know someone else near me is really proud as well, so we just want to congratulate him. The band state championship ring ceremony has been set this week. It will be on Monday, April the 25th at 6 p.m. in the Media Center. So again, we're still celebrating our state championship band, and we'll be having that ceremony presenting their rings at that time. Highlighting, so again, some more return to normalcy. Our Beta Club went on their first overnight convention, February the 4th and 5th. That's the first overnight field trip since March of 2020. They had 17 Beta Club members placed in their respective competitions. That's about 50% of those that attended. We had 4 Beta Club members who were selected to compete at the national level. That's Ellie Quarles, Maggie Childers, Audrey Childers, and Nina Sheedley. Our club sponsors are Sadie Hallman and Kelly Price, and we're just so thankful for the work they're doing. Staying with the same Beta Club theme, for Valentine's Day, our middle school Beta Club raised care packages or creative care packages to take out to the Generations Assisted Living Center and deliver those. So lots of pride, lots of things to be to celebrate, but also community service and our students and our staff giving back to the community and actually into our state. I want to give you just a really quick update on COVID. Not a lot to tell. Last week we had 0 across the board. So for the last 2 weeks in our schools, in our district, we've had 1 member test positive. That's 2 weeks. Last week was all zeros, and 3 students to test positive. So, after that huge surge and peak, we're down to zeros, and it looks like that's going to continue on. I do want to share just one thing quickly with you, and this is a comparison. At your desk you have this year's results, but I want you to take a look and just kind of see the difference in this year and last year. So if you take a look in purple, that's the the positive cases by our staff this year, and in red are the positive staff from last year. You know, when we were going through this first year, it seemed pretty significant, but when you compare this year to last year, it was just pretty minor 2 years ago, was it not, comparatively? If that peak you'll look at is on January 14, 2022, and that's when we had about 70 staff members impacted one way or the other, whether they were positive, quarantine, family members. That week, on the 22nd week here is when we actually had to switch to e-learning for those 4 days. Just want to tell you that these weeks don't line up. Remember, the first week in 2021 was September 4th. The first week this year was August 13th. So these don't necessarily line up with that. So if you go to the next slide, you'll see our staff that had to be quarantined. Again, still matches up. That peak is on January the 14th. Still a pretty significant difference between last year and this year. I want to get to this next slide, and that is our students. If you look at the red line in the first year of COVID, and you see, again, we, as a state, really overreacted to what was going on compared to, what has occurred this past year. But again, as quickly as it went up, it came down and dropped like a rock, and we're down to 0 here. So we're thankful for that as well. Last on the COVID is the quarantines. You see, we started off with the year with a much higher rate of quarantines for students. And remember, on January 4th, we changed our quarantine policy, our protocol, and so we still had a spike later on week 21, but had we continued the protocol we were in back in September, we would have quarantined 600 students. So we were able to prevent quarantining an additional 400 students by changing that protocol in January. And again, I thought that was a student and a staff-friendly procedure that kept more students in school face-to-face. Any questions on COVID until I switch gears to construction? This is lagging behind a little bit. Okay, some of these pictures you've seen, so I'm going to go quickly through those, but I want to show you the progress. So it won't be quite as many pictures as the last time. All right, again, we've got the aerial view of the campus before we started. I'm going to have to move because it's not picking up. All right, again, that's the footprint that we're looking for, our original plan. I want to kind of get through this. Again, we've been working on the Cake Center. We have pretty much topped out. In other words, we've got the top of the building construction, facility, welding, agriculture. We're ready to go with the roof there next. As we switch it around so it matches up with the building, that's kind of the orientation when you'll look at the pictures in just a moment again. So this is where we started with moving the dirt out for the new career center, and this is again looking back toward the main building. When you remember that we poured concrete late one night. I think this was about 2 a.m. in the morning as they were wrapping this up. And so you see the phases where the concrete's poured down. You look at this, you think that's dirt on top of that, and it's not been poured. But what they do is they put black plastic on top after they pour the concrete. They put dirt on top of that so that as they're laying block, mortar does not fall down and stick to the concrete. So they got to go back and clean it up. So there's concrete underneath there. As we work toward the other side of the building, again the second pour here, which is on the front side, facing the main building. And then all of a sudden you go from this in just a day or two to this. And so again, the block really moves rapidly. They doubled the number of masons they had working on this project and really have made a lot of progress. And right now, you see the difference in a day. My pointer's not working, but if you look on the right, you see a little bit of scaffolding, a very low roof, and then a day later. So that's a day's difference from there to there. You can see how much wall actually went up in that time period. If you look down in here, it's really hard to understand the scope of this, but if you look, you can count the sections of scaffolding there. And so those workers right there, their feet are standing at 19 feet, and their head's somewhere around 25. So again, that's the top of the building, around 25.5 feet, that's ready for steel in that section. Again, a little bit zoomed out a little more, and again, that section is pretty much finished with the walls for the concrete block. They'll come back, obviously, and put on the outside, they'll put spray foam insulation and come back with a brick. I want to go back to here. If you look at the main building, you see that walkway that's been poured, and you can see the walls coming up. This will be the connecting walkway to the main building, and you can see there, so zoom down a little bit, but you see those walls really start to take effect in those hallways where students will leave the main building there, the cafeteria, and go into the Career Center. Again, this is the finished look from the east entrance, or the access road from Summerlin, and then the students will come into the main building. If they choose to go outside the hall and come in, they will, or they can come down the hallway. All right, back to the front. Again, before we started moving dirt, again, this is the rendering of the front of the Fine Arts and Academic Wing. There's the sections that we've laid out before: band, chorus, art, media center, and the administrative guidance office. So this was several weeks ago. Started moving trees, cutting those down, getting that ready. We're not quite at the same spot here as the other, but again, they have been really working hard to get this prepared. So they finally get it all graded off and leveled off. And then this is where it all plots in with also the addition of the parking space. But just like the Cake Center, we found some unsuitable soil. And unsuitable soil, again, is soil that will not compact well enough that it can sustain, you know, the concrete pad on top of it. So we were able to repurpose the soil. We pulled out the soil here, and we're taking it to the back of the campus so that when we get ready to build the new band practice field, soccer field, it's there. We won't have to buy dirt. So either way, we had to buy dirt, either for to create the field or to get the pad ready to be able to pour. And you can see some foundation work starting to begin. It's really hard to see from this angle, but there's a fairly good drop off there on your right side. You can kind of see that dirt there where it's kind of loose looking, but again, that's a little bit of a drop off. In 2 weeks, the blue is going to be poured in concrete. In 2 weeks after that, the yellow will be poured in concrete. And again, that little yellow section is jutting out is the hallway that will connect to the existing main building. And you can see some footers are being dug there on the bottom left. That's a little bit better picture of the footers and concrete. And again, you can see again a little bit more of that elevation. And again, they started pouring footers there, and that's going fairly quickly. They do have to start bringing some utilities there from the other side. And again, that takes you back to the front. So a few new pictures there. It's amazing how quickly it progresses, especially once they get the concrete down and start laying blocks. Any questions on that or any of the other things that I presented? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Atkinson. Takes us to section 3, our recognition. We have a very special recognition tonight. Mr. Jim Wizawati was nominated and has been chosen to receive the Champion for Public Education Award, and Mr. Jamie Devine from the South Carolina School Board Association is here to make that presentation. And Jim was not able to be here, and our representative, Cal Forrest, is going to accept that for him.
All right. Representative, if you want to come forward. And also Chairman Kaufman, if you want to come, and Cheryl, if you want to come, and also Dr. Ashley. Again, to this Section 3 board, thank you so much for allowing me to be here, represent SCSBA. This is a great opportunity to present this special award, Champions of Public Education. As I visit districts across the state, it's a great opportunity to just come and listen and see what other districts are doing. Y'all doing a lot. Y'all doing a lot. I was born and raised just down the street in Aiken County, went to Aiken County Public Schools, so we just come up here to Sheely's Barbecue. So I'm a little familiar with this area. So again, I'm Jamie Devine, have the privilege of serving this year as SCSBA Board President and a member of the Richland 1 School Board as well. Again, I have with me Chairman Kaufman, our SCSBA past president, my predecessor, Cheryl Burgess. Thank you for being here, and of course, Dr. Atkinson. Again, Representative Forrest, thank you for being here as well. We're here tonight to recognize Mr. Jim Wizawati. Although he couldn't be here tonight, I think it's appropriate for us to celebrate him in his absence. And what a great person he is. I read up on him online as well, so I appreciate the work that he's done. Thank him for this partnership with Lexington County 3 School Board, and this partnership displays his dedication and commitment to the success of public education. The partnership between Mr. Jim and the school district serves as a model for other school districts across the state. And this is why SCSBA is proud to recognize and honor him with our Champions of Public Education Award. This award is presented to businesses, nonprofit organizations, and individuals who greatly support public education. Mr. Wizawadi was nominated because of his tremendous support of the district. We want him to know that this work does not go unnoticed. And if you don't mind, just let me take a few minutes. Many of you know about him, but just a few minutes about him and the partnership that he has with this school district. Until a few months ago, he owned the popular restaurant Whizz's. On any given day, patrons would line up outside the front door, waiting for the chance to enjoy tremendous portions of delicious food and jovial banter with Jim himself. He is affectionately called the Whiz by all who know him. They use this restaurant, which has been open for 30 years, as a means of nurturing and supporting local citizens, the town of Batesburg, Leesville, and the local school district. Whenever food is needed for a school function, Wiz always donated it either free of charge or at a significantly reduced price. At the beginning of each school year, he generously provided each staff member in Lexington 3 a $5 coupon to his restaurant, not once asking for anything in return. He enthusiastically provides support for the priorities established by the local Board of Trustees. When Lexington 3 pursued bond referendums in 2018 and 2020, Wiz was there as one of the first community members and business owners to step forward in support of the referendums, stating that he believed in the power of education and work that was being done in his district. His support of Lexington 3 has been unwavering since he moved in town in 1989. He knows a large portion of the district staff and students by name, often would join them at their table when they were dining at his restaurant. Beyond his personal relationships, Wiz is deeply invested in the success of Lexington 3 as a whole. He is a fierce supporter of extracurricular activities, including providing sponsorships for the Panther Band, football team, or cheerleaders, just to name a few organizations. He initiated the Wiz Angels program, where he donated a complete holiday meal for about 30 families each year. Students in need were chosen by district staff, and on a Sunday morning before Christmas, boxed meals complete with all of the fixings were delivered straight to their homes, free of charge and courtesy of Jim Wizawadi's big heart. I think we can see it's easy that Mr. Wizawadi is being recognized here tonight. And on behalf of the South Carolina School Boards Association, I want him to know how much his efforts are appreciated. He's making a difference in the lives of Lexington 3 staff, students, and parents. And again, he is a true champion for public education. And again, congratulations to him. And again, accepting on behalf of him is our local representative, Mr. Forrest. Thank you so much for being here. And to this board, thank you all for the nomination. Well deserved, and so we appreciate it. And if anything else we can do on behalf of the South Carolina School Boards Association, please let us know. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. All right, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much.
He wants to. I'm going to hang out here for just a minute.
Thank you.
I'm going to hang out here too.
And I have a statement that Jim prepared that I'm going to read. We would like to thank you for nominating and awarding the 2021 Champion for Education Award to Jim. In all the years we have been here, we have tried our best to be productive, engaging members of the community, and what a community it is. Batesburg, Leesville, and the many towns in our area have given us so much that there isn't time enough to list all that we've been blessed with. This community has been our supportive, loyal business family, and without them, we would be nothing. Although we did not have children of our own, we have always understood the importance of a good education. We want our schools to be competitive and offer our Batesburg-Leesville children all the benefits they can possibly receive, so supporting the school system was an easy thing to do. Every single person, be it teachers, administration, maintenance staff, bus drivers, cafeteria workers, have touched us in many different ways, special ways, and we will always be appreciative for their support and friendship. Again, thank you for this recognition, even though there are many, many more people more deserving. We are truly humbled. Jim and Cheryl Wizawati of Wiz's Eatery. So,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you again, Mr. Devine and Mr. Forrest.
Yep. Can I say a couple words?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. I've never accepted an award on behalf of anybody before, so I don't really know where to start my words. But, take me back to Hurricane Hugo, 1989, as you referenced when he came here. Jim and Cheryl moved in right across the street and right down the street from me. And being from small town, South Carolina, Leesville, South Carolina, at the time before we were one town, I had the mentality of a consummate 12-year-old guy from a small town, like another Yankee coming into my town, right? And lo and behold, with all these years later, Jim and Cheryl have become some of the best friends I've ever had in my whole life. And since we've become good friends, he reminded me that he was not a Yankee, he was an upper Midwesterner. So there's obviously a big distinction there. And Jim, I know I don't know if he'd love to be here because he's not really a guy for the spotlight, but I've seen how much he gives back that y'all know about, and I've seen how much he gives back that people don't know about, and I'm sure he gives back more. I don't even know about it, but he does it because he wants to, and he's a very humble guy. And I think it might be a little bit hard for Jim to come up here in front of a group like this that's so appreciative of him, but I've come to love him, and I know all y'all love him, and they'll surely be missed in this community, but thank you for honoring him.
Yep. Thank you again. Takes us to our public participation section. Do we have any cards? No cards. Okay. Moving right along to our Section 5, our information items. First up is our highlights from our 2022 Annual Board Convention. I think a couple of board members are going to.
Okay. I'm not sure if we'll overlap a little bit, but
That's fine.
Craig and myself and Ty were at our annual convention this year. It was in Hilton Head in February, and I know that Ty and Craig arrived earlier than I did. Craig, you attended the board chair workshop, correct?
No, I did not.
I apologize. But they had some classes that were offered ahead of time, but I wanted to point out just 2 breakout sessions that I attended, and then one of our keynote speakers that I found really worthwhile. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of Kyle Maynard. He was our first guest speaker, and if you ever feel like you are not capable of doing something, you need to meet this gentleman and listen to what he has to say. He was born with a condition where his arms were cut off at his elbows and his legs were cut off at the knees. And to listen to him just talk for just an hour about the obstacles that he faced and what he's overcome and the accomplishments that he has made in his lifetime is astounding. What I really appreciate about him is that a few of the things that he was telling us is that no matter how challenging a situation is, we all possess the ability to overcome them. It's our choice to overcome them. And that there are no excuses for not meeting your challenges, and that all discoveries come from the words, I don't know. And I loved that one. That one to me pertained to education. I could talk about him for a long time, but I'll move on. One of the other breakout sessions that I attended was on leading through change and the flexibility of virtual programs. The Horry County District is the one who presented, and I know but I reminded myself listening to the presentation, their district is the size of Rhode Island. So they have 46,000 students, and 46% of them are on free and reduced lunch. But what the takeaway is, I know we can't do everything that a district of that size can do, but what I appreciated about their virtual learning program is they have 3. They have their Success Academy, where they address virtually for students who have failed. They make it possible for them to retrieve credit. They have third-party vendors that they used, and it's all teacher facilitated. They do not offer electives in that group. Another one is their Flex program, where it's paid for through general and state funds, but that one offers all kinds of programs for students. Let's say they can't fit it into their schedule, but they need it to graduate, or they need it for something they're focused on. They can find that class in an online program, and I thought that was especially helpful for a district of our size, because our class times are limited. And then the third program that they offer offers honors and college classes for advanced students. So they had those three. I could go on and on about all of the ways that they're meeting the needs of their students, but I loved how they had a lot of outside the box thinking, and they met the needs of all of their students, not just one segment. So, and I'm not sure if you're talking about the calendar.
I was just briefly.
Okay, I'll stop there and I'll let Ty finish up.
So again, I appreciate, the support of the community and the board allowing us to go to these things. I'm brand new with this, as a lot of people know, so all of this stuff is a little overwhelming sometimes to try to grasp, but I'm trying to get bits and pieces of it. And like Stacy said, I did go down a day early for new board orientation, which I thought was very helpful for me. It allowed me to just try to be cognizant of the fact that we as school board members do not run schools, as well. You probably know that. That's the administrators, that's the support staff, that's the teachers, all in conjunction. So we do the best we can when situations are brought to us, and we try to make our best decisions going forward on those. But we certainly appreciate all of your work and what you do on a day-to-day basis. The community doesn't see that sometimes, but it's not just a complaint from ground level comes straight to us and something happens. It should be going through the proper channels. And that's something that me, as a newbie here, I didn't really understand very much, on the other side of the fence. So I'm getting more knowledge of that, trying to work through some of these new things as best as possible. So I appreciate the opportunity to serve on this board to try to help for the betterment of Lexington School District 3. I also was pretty amazed by the keynote speaker, Mr. Maynard. It's a lot of things that people have to overcome, and I can't think of much more than what he had. This gentleman climbs mountains, and he doesn't do it with the assistance of really anything. When he started climbing them, he just wrapped towels and socks around the end of his limbs. Now, some of those things have gotten better, but it's not like he's been fitted for prosthetic hands or feet or anything like that. He's going on all fours. And one of the parts that I thought was very moving and it stuck with me was, he had to keep a good posture, because if he had any little piece of his body not working in the way that he was going up that mountain, he said physically it would have just overwhelmed him and he wouldn't have been able to move. So the only way he could do that was to wear a helmet and glasses to where he could visibly only see 3 feet in front of him. So can you imagine only being able to see, at arm's length essentially in front of you, and climbing a peak as high as Mount Kilimanjaro? And that wasn't enough for him. He climbed that to the summit, and that mountain wasn't high enough. So he went to one in South America. So it just, it just stuck with me to say, we are so blessed to be able to see so much more. But if somebody can concentrate on just simply what's in front of them and hit that goal and continue to go 3 more feet and 3 more feet, that's really all it takes. Because if that gentleman can do that, there's no reason that we can't do that. And he also said, he pertains his mountain climbing to a mountain with no summit. He climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. That wasn't good enough. He found a higher mountain to go climb. So don't ever settle. Don't ever make excuses, if you can possibly help it, because we're so blessed. We're so blessed to have what we have here in this district, and the staff and the administration and all the people that goes into it. So that really stuck with me a little bit, just as a motivational type thing. In one of the breakout sessions that I went to, in trying to learn more about the numbers, was about school finance, and it was a 101, which I need a 101 type thing, at the stage that I'm in. But, all of these things that we're able to do, whether it be teachers, whether it be administrators, whether it be the collective buildings, not just so much the bond referendum, but just maintenance, all those things are state funded, or majority of those are coming out of that. And, I think it's worth everybody's time. There's a bill right now being talked about and being, sent up the chain. I think eventually it'll probably come to a vote. It's Bill S935, and that has the potential. I would recommend that you do a little research on that. Speak to your representatives. I spoke to Representative Forrest on it on a couple occasions. That has the potential to be a serious detriment to our state funding and what we're able to do. So, I just, ask you all to do your part in doing your research, talk to the people, talk to your representatives, talk to the people in the community so they can talk to the representatives. We never know what's going to happen with that, but we need our voice heard because, as a, proponent of public education, that stands to be a huge hurdle that we would have to overcome if it goes through the way it's presented. So that was a part of that, and I guess kind of on a lighter note, and I hate Mr. Devine had to leave because he was there that first day and he knew firsthand. I heard from all our fellow board members how most of these meetings are extremely cold, which I'm not an extremely cold person. I'm very hot, so I'm even hot here. But I can promise you, it was nowhere close to that meeting. They had an ending session that was titled the Mock Meeting from Hades. It wasn't a mock meeting, I promise you. It was a true meeting from Hades because I thought one of the ladies behind me was going to get in her bathing suit attire. She had taken off so many clothes. And I can't say that I blame her because I'm telling you, it was one for the books. They commented about it. There was obviously a problem, but, we didn't have to worry about that meeting being very hot, So I'm glad to make it back from Hades so that we can, sit here tonight and try to do the business of District 3. So that's all I have.
And I'll just point out, if you're thinking, the guy had plenty of time to climb the mountain, due to the altitude and the weather at those places, there's a very small window from the time you start to the time you get there so that you can get back down. And even experienced climbers don't make it. This guy was awesome, I'm telling you. So, anyway. Okay, that takes us to our next section, 5.2, our 2022-23 calendar follow-up by Ms. Taylor and Ms. Rye.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and fellow Board of Trustees members. Thank you for allowing Ms. Rye and myself to be here this evening to talk to you again about the modified calendar and the traditional calendar that we brought forth, as you well know, last month and during our February meeting. We took that modified calendar that we had proposed basically to the community to gauge their interest in it. We had created a community survey that we wanted to see exactly what the opinions were of our stakeholders here in Lexington 3. So tonight we're going to present our findings to you about that. So the survey was posted on our Lexington 3 website, and in addition to that, it was blasted out on all of our social media pages. It was texted to all of our parents in the district. It was emailed to every parent in the district. It was sent to staff members via email and text, and it was also pushed out on our Lexington 3 mobile app. So basically, it was pushed out in every avenue that we could possibly think of to try to engage as many people as we could. Altogether, we received a total of 636 responses, and it was open from February the 10th through February the 25th. And this survey was really open to anyone who was willing to give us their opinion about it. We opened it up to parents, to students, guardians, family members, business owners, community leaders, pastors. We had some child care providers even provide input in there. So really anyone who wanted to voice their thoughts about the modified calendar. And I'll turn it over to Ms. Rye from here to talk to you exactly about what we received.
And So I know this is probably hard for folks in the audience to see, but you all have this in your packet. And as requested, we were able to break it down by the subgroups that responded. And if you look at the top, you just see the number of responses in each category. And the bottom, Mr. Potts was gracious enough to help us break into some percentages for you. And I know some of you are data and numbers people, and so you've probably already done a little bit of tallying yourselves. But interestingly, if you're looking at the top and you're looking at the number of people who responded positively, all of the groups responded positively if you combine the top two lines, the being interested in the modified calendar for this next year as well as for the 23-24 group, except for the students. The students skewed our survey data pretty significantly. And Mr. Potts is also able to break it down a little bit further and see the majority of the students that responded were at the high school, as you might imagine. And of course, for a variety of reasons, they have their opinions about why they don't want a modified calendar. But basically, we ended up with about 47.8% of the people, if you take their interest in next year for a modified calendar and also in the 23-24 school year for a modified calendar and combine them, which is more than the number not interested. But we are suggesting to you tonight that for the benefit of the entire community, we probably need to look at approving the traditional calendar for this next school year. And then if it is still of interest to you to move forward with a modified calendar, we would recommend that we do that in the fall, early, maybe September, October range, so that folks have lots and lots of time to plan for the change in their summer schedules. So that's a summary. This is a weird clicker. It's different than the one. They're the percentages, which we talked a little bit about, and you have those in front of you. We'll be glad to try to answer any questions you might have. That's the informational section, but it's also on the agenda as an action item for you tonight as well.
On the survey, I see where it was the 42% interested in, and then definitely not interested in was 25.9, and that's teachers and support staff. Is there a way to break down that subgroup and see, I don't know, different ways, maybe certified personnel or either instructional personnel? Because I'm assuming support staff would be everybody, bus driver, everybody. So is there a way to break that down to instructional staff and other? And instructional staff could include instructional assistants, just instructional staff.
Well, we wouldn't be able to go back and pull that piece because we didn't ask them to denote themselves as maintenance or instructional assistants in the survey. They either chose that they were support staff or they chose that they were teachers. We could break it out that way, but we can't break down the actual support staff group itself.
So the teachers would probably just be the certified person.
The teachers, but then also let me add, and Mr. Potts, feel free to jump in on this part because he's our pivot table guru. He was able to even look at it in such a way that some of the numbers are actually duplicates. So a teacher might be in the teacher column, but then also they were a teacher who had children in the district. So people could have been reported in more than one column. So I say all that to say it was really kind of complicated, and we tried to give you the most simplified version that we possibly could so that you didn't get overwhelmed.
Yeah. Well, I would like to see exactly what the instructional staff thinks, if there's a way we could do that.
We can look at that and certainly pass that along to Dr. Atkinson for him to share.
I apologize because I got just talking a minute ago and I forgot to mention about the breakout session that we went to there. So I feel like I need to say that because it was pretty eye-opening to me in some of the statistics because they showed essentially exactly the same thing. And they were probably not even as positive maybe as that. They may have even been a little bit lower initially. But that was Greenwood School District, I believe that was correct. And they chose to take that leap. And their only, misgiving now was maybe doing it a little bit early and not ironing out some of these things because now even halfway into their first year, I mean, I think they have overwhelming support, even from, I think, a member of the board that voted no for it. You know, he's been kind of turned a little bit for that. But the most telling part to me, and the most important part that I think a lot of people may need to see and know, so you spread that word, and I know it didn't come just from their school district, it's other districts that are doing the modified calendar. It's way before, obviously, high school. You know, there's people, I got one there, I don't know where his mind is half the time, so who knows what he put. But, you know, you got to start from ground level, and from the time they started school, what, K4, I don't know if it was K4 or K5, and you're looking at middle class to poverty style families. The lag from the summertime, by the time they got to 5th grade, they were 2.5 grade levels difference, or years difference, just at the same age group, just because of essentially where some would even take a little step forward or at least maintain, but a lot were taking that step back. And this, you know, seems to bridge that gap a lot better. So that was a really important part, because everybody knows if you can't, you know, if you can't lay that groundwork young, who knows what they're going to be when they might have a brain like my son in high school, you know. But no, I'm just saying.
That's just normal for boys in high school.
Yeah, so, you know, I'm just saying, it was very eye-opening to me to see how that gap just kept growing and kept growing. And I'm sure it keeps on growing. They stopped it at 5th grade, you know, but I'm sure it just continues like that. So that was very interesting. And again, there was definitely some cons, but most of what they had stemmed from trying to push it through really, really quick. So if that's the proposal, that may help with that, obviously. But I think everybody that sat in that room and that were already doing it, and even people entertaining it, there was a lot of people from districts that were entertaining that going forward. You know, it spun a pretty good light on it. You know, I know it's change, and change is hard, you know, but it would definitely be something that I would recommend everybody to really think about, because it seemed pretty positive.
I appreciate you saying that, and if I might just add a couple of extra points from our perspective. You know, hindsight's 20/20, and with respect to the students, we didn't do a real good job of informing them. I mean, they got the survey and they just took it, but I don't think a lot of them really understood. They just saw, oh, shorter summer, no. And so we should have done a better job of informing them. We have talked, though, and we don't think that you have to go back to the community for another survey in the fall. Based on the survey results we have, if you choose to, we could approve a calendar like that for the 23-24 school year. And I have had an opportunity that my instructional counterpart in Greenwood had shared at our roundtable, and we had a little breakout group about calendar. And I heard her specifically, I think she shared with y'all in the presentation, but she talked very highly about their intercession periods and how effective it has been and how it is really impacting their data, especially coming out of COVID. Kind of to the point of the 3 feet in front of you, set a small goal, move towards it, accomplish it, set another small goal and accomplish it, and that's working really well for them this year. And the other thing that she very much pointed out was that even their naysayers, because they moved forward, they kind of plowed ahead even though they had a pretty even split in their survey, and she said even their naysayers have said nothing but good things. So I think that's a critical point for you to consider, and ultimately you have to approve the calendar.
Any questions? Okay.
You doing point one?
That takes us to section 6, our action items, which will go to first reading of our 2022-23 school calendar.
So, Mr. Chair, it is the recommendation of the administration that you guys give first reading approval of the 22-23 traditional school calendar that we initially presented to you guys and that you have in your packets back in February.
Are there any questions?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we grant first reading approval of the 2022-2023 traditional school calendar as presented by the administration.
I got a motion by Dr. Gunner that we give first reading approval of the 2022-23 school calendar as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Burgess. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is approval for a volleyball team trip, I believe. Ms. Sonia Bryant.
No, I'm not taking the volleyball team anywhere. I am here on behalf of Coach Brantley Bazard. She is at softball in the rain right now, so I am happy to be here in her stead. I may be referring to my notes, but we are requesting an overnight volleyball trip for JV and varsity teams. They would take a maximum of 24 girls, 12 from each team. There is a cost of $340 per camper, but they are working on fundraisers to offset that cost. And the camp is July 12th through 14th, and I believe it is at Coastal Carolina University. You had approved this group or the past groups to go to this camp the year COVID shut everything down. So our coaches have been working really hard with our volleyball program, and Coach Bazard feels like that this would be a great way for them to build team chemistry and prepare for their upcoming season. So that's what I've got.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve for the Batesburg-Leesville High School volleyball team to attend the volleyball camp on July 12th through the 14th at Coastal Carolina.
I have a motion by Ms. Derrick that we give approval for the Batesburg-Leesville High School volleyball team to attend the volleyball camp July the 12th through 14th, 2022 at Coastal Carolina University. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second by Ms. Bontnight. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Ms.
I'd be
Bryant.
afraid to tell Brantley I didn't get it done. Go Panthers.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we move into executive session for the discussion of employment matters.
I have a motion by Ms. Derrick that we move into executive session for the discussion of employment matters. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Carey. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor raise your right hand. Motion passes unanimously. We are in executive session.